I'm going to get straight into this message today, because if you've ever sat in an audience and listened to a speaker, whether it's a conference, something formal, a meeting, a briefing, even a weekly catch-up, something around the table, something less formal, if you've ever done that, and as the person has been speaking, you've found yourself noticing that they have certain phrases or certain words that they overuse, you may have played a form of bingo, and you know exactly the form of bingo I'm talking about, where every time they say a certain word or phrase, you might maybe make a note of it and then jot down how many times they say that particular phrase. For example, low-hanging fruit is a phrase beloved of some speakers, and you might start noticing to yourself that you tick every time they say low-hanging fruit, and then somebody else says low-hanging fruit, and then you find yourself, if you're really drifting away with this, calculating how many times they said low-hanging fruit in a certain amount of time, and then working out their per minute or their per second use of this phrase. If you've ever done anything like that, this film is for you, and it's so important you listen and you act on what we're going to be talking about. My name's Graham David, and I'm here to help you if you want to be a better speaker, conference speaker, person that speaks at meetings, briefings, whatever. And I'm guessing you know the game I'm talking about. It's called bingo. There's usually another word that alliterates with it at the start. Bull something, bingo, which, because I'm putting this on things like LinkedIn, I'm not going to say. You know the game. And it's important because many of us, just in life generally, get into habits, right? Habits are there to allow us to cope with the fact that during life we get bombarded with all sorts of things through all of our senses. And a habit allows us just to get the impetus to do something and move through quickly. There's a downside of that, but it means that in some situations we get a little bit, we go automatic, basically. And basic is one of those phrases. Basically, people start to say basically too much. Obviously is another one. In fact, if you ever have an occasion to call up your call centre to deal with your banking, your utility supply, insurance, whatever, you might notice that the person at the other end has certain phrases that they use a lot. So one of the current ones when they're attempting to close a sale is, do you have any other questions for me today? So today is suddenly the key word that has to be dropped in, and it's there to try and give a little bit of motivation and a little bit of impetus to try and push the conversation forward and hopefully towards a sale. But here's the really serious point behind all of this. Once you start to notice a phrase or a word that the other person is overusing, if that person is not speaking in a way that is of particular interest to you, if they're perhaps not a very good speaker, or if the message is a little bit boring, or maybe if you're at work and you're thinking, I don't need to hear this for whatever reason, you're now focusing on the word count of those phrases rather than the message. And the reason that's important is if you notice you've done that for other people, how clear are you that you're not having the same thing happen to you when you're speaking? Because that is less funny, right? If you're up speaking and some of your audience look like they're taking notes or they look like they're paying attention to your key message, how different would it feel if you knew in fact all they were doing was playing a game of bingo against your overused phrases? So this is why it's really important to identify these and to do everything you can to eliminate them from speech. And often these speech come up, as I said, about habits. They're patterns that we use when we are often in a slightly stressful situation, which could be pitching, running a meeting, a briefing, a conference. So we've got to really work hard to ensure that we cut these from the language. I've already mentioned basically and obviously. These are fairly awful ones because they imply that you as the listener should know. Basically, obviously. Actually is another one. In fact, kind of, sort of, okay, guys. These are all things that people use just to drop into language. And it's often not something that is conscious, it just happens. The other version of this, which is often where the bingo game is played, is in what we might call the jargon, the business speak. I've already referenced low-hanging fruit. but we might consider things like at the end of the day, when all's said and done, the light at the end of the tunnel, other various phrases, silo working, granularity. We need more granularity. We need to drill down. We need to take a view. And so it goes on. Already you're thinking of the phrases that are peculiar to your business, your industry, your sector, your department. And although it sounds like quite a nice, fun, jokey topic, the moment you consider that actually when somebody is speaking, all you're doing is noting those little phrases, you're not paying attention to them. And of crucial importance, when you're speaking, the same thing can be happening to you if you're over relying these certain phrases. So, short video, fairly light topic, but really important outcome. If you would like to share, open, confess your phrases, your language, your jargon, put it in the notes below, that'd be great. If you would like to just drop me a DM, a message, an email, comment, share, like, all these things are always good. Love to hear from you, and thanks for watching again. Thank you.